Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers Big Meeting. ASF is a nonprofit organization devoted to maintaining separation between religion and state, advocating a scientific and humanistic viewpoint, and improving the lives of non-believers. You can learn more about ASF at arfreethinkers.org. Hopefully, we can meet in person soon. Now for our standard disclaimer. ASF is a diverse organization with members who represent a wide range of opinions. The speakers who present at our big meetings do not necessarily represent the views of ASF or its individual members. Because we are a 501c3 organization, ASF cannot and does not directly support candidates for public office. We advocate for causes such as separation of church and state, scientific literacy, societal progress, and truthful communication. That said, we have Chris Barecki, correct? Who will present our free thought of the day.
Thank you very much, Vern. So the free thought of the day is that we need to think 10 years ahead. And Bill Gates said, quote, "We always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the amount of change that will occur in the next 10. What percentage of your thoughts are about things occurring in the short term, and what percentage of your thoughts are about long-term objectives?" Jane McGonigal is writing a book, or has a book out, and she has a section of it where she notes several things that really transformed the world that happened within a span of 10 years. Take the civil rights movement, for example. From the first boycotts of segregated buses in 1955 to the passage of the Civil Rights Act, just 9 years. The South Africa boycotts that were started in the mid-1980s led to the downfall of apartheid by 1996. Between 2012 and 2021, marijuana went from being decriminalized in just Colorado to decriminalized in 44 states. From 2001 to 2010, same-sex marriage went from being legalized only in Netherlands and being considered something of a taboo to suddenly being supported by majorities in most countries in the world. The internet went from 16 million academics in 1991 to 1 billion people in the mainstream by 2001. And 10 years after the iPhone was released, a majority of people had smartphones. Facebook went from launch to 1 billion daily users in 10 years. Bitcoin went from being a hypothetical idea in 2008 to being bigger by market cap than the top 3 United States banks combined in just 10 years. 10 years after the founding of Airbnb and Uber, 36% of the U.S. workforce is involved in some type of gig work. And 10 years after Zoom went from being initially tested to it became a primary method for schools and work and for families to get together during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the point is that things can change dramatically in 10 years. The whole world can change in ways that you might not foresee, and that some people are working on things that will have an outsized impact just a decade from now. And I know your objections, I know. There's so much uncertainty in the world. How do I even know that I'll live that long? And doesn't fate have a way of always, busting up our plans? Well, yeah, first, but uncertainty is a form of opportunity. The future belongs to the ideas that motivate people to focus on making changes on very long time frames. If the future was certain, we'd be living in some kind of static existence. We'd be trapped and nothing could ever change or improve. But experience, and including those things that I listed, show that human lifestyles change dramatically. It really is up to you. And second, it only makes sense to assume you'll live 10 years. If you can put one foot in front of the other, there's a good chance that some insurance agent out there would write you a life insurance policy. It's also true that you can perceive and comprehend my words right now, so you probably have some capability to contribute to making the world better. Even if you were absolutely certain that you only had a couple more years to live at most, what excuse could possibly be good enough for you to waste that precious time on things that only matter in the short term? Isn't it better to be part of something that will make a difference 10 years from now, even if you'll never see that change? And last, uncertainty is no excuse for not having a plan, not setting expectations, or not being motivated. Uncertainty is a fact of life, but being completely aimless is not. And we worry way too much about whether our long term plans are going to be disrupted, and maybe we should be worrying that we'll be distracted from our long term goals, that we'll spend our lives doing short term things that won't matter in the long run. And I think, nowadays distraction is a bigger problem than disruption. Those who are disrupted can adjust their plans and apply their knowledge and experience to the next plan. But those who are distracted, they're just constantly treading water their whole lives. That's what we should be worrying about. So let's reframe some things. Uncertainty is the same thing as opportunity. There's almost certainly enough time for you to be part of a movement that changes the world and live to see the results. And if you think something is impossible, look at how frequently impossible things occur. And if you're discouraged by the speed of negative change, understand that positive change can move just as quickly when people work together. Back to you, Bern. Bern, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chris, for that, for both of those things. Now we're going to hear our monthly member story from Todd Billings.
Oh, joy. I get to talk. Well, I was raised here in the South in a deeply religious household, and had the deck extra stacked against me because my family was into the old-timey charismatic religion. So our religious beliefs were little different than 18th century. There was a lot of, speaking in tongues and being slain in the spirit, and the demons were after you at every turn. And fortunately, my neurology was such that I was destined to reject it one day. But it was kind of a scary road at first, because I didn't get a lot of the comforting things most believers got out of it when I was a believer. I was pretty scared by it all. Fortunately, my mom would have never done this if she'd have known the outcome. But fortunately, my first book was a dinosaur book, and I learned to read on that dinosaur book, and it sparked my interest in not only dinosaurs but ultimately all things science. And so, unbeknownst to the church and my mom, I was being indoctrinated into the scientific method, evolution and its role in the development of life on Earth. And until I was 12 or so, I did a fairly good job of trying to marry the two. I was always creeped out by what they did at church, the speaking in tongues. And the few times that I put my own toe in the water to try it out, it backfired. I remember I first few years of my life, I would never go up front to, be slain in the spirit. But one time I thought, well, you know what? Let's go see what it's all about. And I went up, and the preacher was going down, putting his hands on everybody, and everybody else, he'd touch him and they'd fall back, and deacons would catch him. And he came to me and he touched me, and I genuinely didn't feel moved to fall, so I didn't. And he went to move on to the next person, noticed I didn't fall, so he came back and and I fell back, and I was like, well, okay, I don't think I was slain in the spirit so much as decked out by the pastor. So anyway, the final internal reckoning, where I realized that elders were full of shit and that everything I'd known was probably wrong, was when I was 12. We had a tradition. We'd go to Western Sizzling after church, and a couple of dozen of us would go in there, spend a couple of hours, tip maybe $5 for all of us. And I was sitting at the kids' table next to the adults, and the pastor was parallel to me. We were both at the heads of our respective table, and I was animatedly talking about how birds had evolved from dinosaurs. And all of a sudden he's, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about over here? And I was like, but birds, they evolved from dinosaurs. He's like, there was no evolution. God made everything just like in Genesis, 6 days. And I was like, that's not an allegory. What about the fossils, the order, the transitionals? Well, God put those there to test your faith. And I'm like, whoa, now you're really blowing my mind. You're telling me that God is screwing with my head. You're telling me he's like trying to trick me into eternal damnation by seeing if I believe all this very convincing stuff. And then the church secretary chimed in and made me laugh out loud when she said, well, maybe they were like mutant giraffes or something. And I was like, ma'am, you believe in evolution more than I do if you think a T-Rex could give birth to, or a giraffe could give birth to a T-Rex. And so now I was really questioning, and it scared my mom and the pastor. So they decided to send me to a Brook Hill church camp in Hot Springs. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of that. It's a intense brainwashing camp for children. Very intense. 3 church services a day, a lot of fun, really fun activities, mixed in with a lot of preaching, riding jet skis, horses, this and that. And it actually, for the one time in my childhood, made me actually passionate for the faith. It worked. I came out and I turned my analytical mind to the Bible. I said, well, I'm going to be a preacher now, so I better study the Bible. Literally page 2, questions. And the weirdest experience started happening where at school, if I had questions, the teachers rolled up their sleeves. Oh, well, let me see if I can help you, Todd. What do you not understand? Here, I'll spend all the time in the world. My Sunday school teachers, they weren't like that. They would give me some, response, and it wouldn't sit right with me. And I'd be like, but what about, you just need to stop. Well, stop what? Asking questions. You just got to have faith. So anyway, I read the Bible probably about 3 or 4 times in its entirety between 12 and 14. And it talked me out of the faith completely. It left me with scars, though, because I had sleep paralysis growing up. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's where you wake up in an REM state and your body's paralyzed. You can't scream, you can't move, and you'll vividly hallucinate. And since I'd been raised in the world of demons, what do you think I hallucinated? So I probably had 100 experiences as a child where I woke up and could not move, scream, and thought demons were trying to possess me. So while I shed tears when I finally gave up the faith, in the end, it was very liberating. And I moved on and founded this organization in 1996. And here we sit today. So that's it for me.
Having met your mother, I can say I believe every word of that. Okay. Next is our speaker, correct, Chris? Yes. Yes, there we go. Our speaker today, I'm going to go over to my introduction here. Allie got her start in abortion advocacy at the age of 14 when her mother took her to her first counter protest of an anti-abortion rally. Ever since, she has been a staunch advocate for safe, legal abortion. She is one of 3 co-founders and the president of the Arkansas Abortion Support Network. She has been a clinic escort for the last 7 years, and along with the AASN board members and volunteers, she has been raising money to help Arkansans pay for their abortions since 2016. Allie grew up in Fairport, New York, and transplanted herself to Little Rock in 2009. She enjoys hiking, binging her favorite TV shows, and hanging out with her senior kitty, Stella. Please welcome Allie Taylor.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for having me. I do want to note too, I had touched base with Anne about this, and I know that she wasn't able to attend this meeting, but I did also invite my 2 co-founders, Roz Creed and Karen Music, to speak just in case I run out of anything, because we all 3 of us really do have, I think, sort of unique views into the services that AASN provides, as well as the current state of abortion access for Arkansans. I won't say in Arkansas because there is no abortion access in Arkansas, but as far as access for Arkansans goes, I think the 3 of us have some unique views that are a little individual to each of us, pardon me. So I will start by, just in case folks are not real familiar with Arkansas Abortion Support Network, we were founded in 2016, and up until a few months ago, we were providing clinic escorting at Little Rock Family Planning Services, where we would have volunteers there to provide a little comfort and protection to patients as they arrived at the clinic, because the clinic frequently had protesters who were horrible and would shout terrible things at the patients as they were coming and going. Obviously, the clinic escort program no longer exists after June 24th, when the Supreme Court released their decision in the Dobbs case and overturned Roe v. Wade after nearly 50 years. Within just a few hours of that decision, AG Leslie, oh my gosh, why is her last name Rutledge? AG Rutledge certified the trigger law that had been passed in Arkansas a few years ago, which basically said the moment that Roe is overturned, abortion will be outlawed in Arkansas. So that did happen almost immediately after that decision came down on June 24th. And that day was extremely hectic, obviously, for the clinic, for the patients who had shown up that morning expecting to have an abortion and were told that they could not have an abortion that day because the Supreme Court had just gone poof, and the state of Arkansas just went poof, illegal. Literally, people arrived at the clinic that morning, and while they were waiting to go in for their procedure, the decision came through, and there were folks who had driven long distances to get to Little Rock Family Planning Services who had to be turned away and who had to start scrambling to find an appointment in another state where it was legal and where it would stay legal long enough for them to get there. A lot of our surrounding states at the time had waiting periods enacted, so people would have to be traveling twice to some of those states. Although a lot of the states that had really restrictive, of course, laws like waiting periods went ahead and just outlawed abortion either immediately or they will be doing that very soon. So in Arkansas, Arkansas Abortion Support Network also is, we provide funding for folks who are accessing abortion. And while we were no strangers to helping people go out of state, a lot of our clients were already going out of state prior to Roe being overturned. And there were a variety of reasons for that. Sometimes the clinic in Little Rock would get kind of backed up and people could get an appointment in Oklahoma or sometimes even Illinois or Louisiana. They could get appointments there sooner. Some folks, depending on where they are in Arkansas, they were just geographically closer to Memphis or Shreveport or Tulsa. And so, like I say, we were no stranger to helping people go out of state, but we are certain now all of our clients, of course, are going out of state. And we have most definitely seen an uptick in the need for help with transportation support. We have not really seen much, if at all, really any just yet requests for people who actually need rides to get to the clinic they're going to. For the most part, folks have been able to get themselves to out of state with the help of either gas money or in instances where they require a little more support, say for instance, they need to fly somewhere or perhaps take a bus. There is an organization that I think everybody should know about. It's called Midwestern Access Coalition, and they have been instrumental in helping a lot of folks in states like Arkansas navigate this new world where they have to fly 2, 3, 4, 5 states away to get care. So Midwestern Access Coalition, I just want to really sing their praises. If you do hear about them, just know that they are a very, very great organization who has helped quite a few Arkansans since the 24th. And as far as legislation goes, we, I think, got kind of lucky with this last special session that the governor called. Initially, the specific point of that of that special session was to look at more tax cuts for rich people because we have a surplus, and of course we can't do anything good with that money. We just have to give more people tax cuts who already had plenty of tax cuts. But I'm sure some of you may be aware that Jason Rapert, who, thank goodness, is going to be term limited as soon as this current term ends. But he's still, obviously, he is still technically Senator Rapert right now. And he was very eager to introduce a bill that would have targeted traveling outside of Arkansas to access abortion in states where it's still legal. My understanding from one article that I read, I believe his goal was going to be the bill was going to say that they could sue doctors in other states who provided abortions to Arkansans. I don't know how that was supposed to work because it's an Arkansas state law that abortion is legal. And last time I checked, most state laws stay within the borders of the states that they were made. A lot of people, I think, assumed that it was going to be some kind of literally outlawing the pregnant person leaving the state to get an abortion. And there were a lot of jokes about, well, what are they going to do? Set up pregnancy tests at, every road that leads out of the state? Are they going to be checkpoints? No, that was not certainly not at least the intent now. Most anti-abortion laws, and in particular in Arkansas, but broadly speaking, most laws in other states too, they are designed to penalize the doctor who performs an abortion in that state, or as with Texas's law that passed back in September, that has now been made even worse by the overturning of Roe. But that law had a provision that said, we're not going to go after pregnant people, we're not going to go after the people who had abortions, but any rando can sue somebody who either performed an illegal abortion in Texas or helped a Texan acquire an illegal abortion. And that's honestly what I was expecting. I was expecting Rapert to introduce a law that would say, oh, you can sue anybody who helps a pregnant person go out of state to acquire an abortion. And I won't be surprised if a law like that is raised during the next legislative session in 23. But this piece of legislation that Rapert really wanted to introduce during the most recent special session, luckily, there were a lot of things that a lot of other legislators wanted to do and would have needed to have the session extended. The main thing was Democrats lobbying to get the session extended so that the legislature could address teacher pay and hopefully enact raises for teachers. And while I, of course, very much support that and would have loved to have seen the legislature take action on teacher salaries much sooner rather than later. In a weird way, I think it's possible that kind of helped us by the Republicans did not want to extend the session in order to have the Democrats be able to start talking about teacher pay. So most people voted just not to extend the session, and thereby that meant that Rapert's bill could not be introduced either, along with disallowing bills to discuss teacher pay. So that was, I guess, kind of a double-edged sword, but like I said, it did kind of work out for us that we didn't have to start dealing with the potential of another anti-abortion bill. It's hard to say for sure what's going to happen in 23 in that legislative session. Nobody has a crystal ball, and while Rapert won't be in the legislature, and he was sort of during his run, he was the king anti-abortion jerk, of course, but he has some acolytes. There are plenty of other Arkansas legislators who are just as staunchly anti-abortion and who, were torn about either, voting to extend the session so that the abortion bill could be discussed, or voting not to extend the session because, I just can't bring myself to vote with the Democrats to extend the session. So there are still anti-abortion legislators in the Arkansas state government. And I also, just because Rapert won't be in the legislature, I assume his influence will still be there. He'll be bored. He won't have anything to do. I'm guessing he'll be probably trying to get all of his anti-buddies and the peripherals on board with introducing new legislation. I would expect something to target the traveling to other states. I personally, I mean, if it were me, like I said, I would target the people who help pregnant people leave the state. I wouldn't bother trying to target doctors in other states. Maybe the Arkansas legislature. I mean, I don't want to give them any ideas, but they have plenty of their own, I'm sure. But that is, we are just keeping a very, very close eye on the 23 legislature. I also am aware, while there's nothing concrete having done yet, there are a few legal minds and policy folk who are looking at the possibility of maybe a ballot initiative to put on the 24 ballot, the 2024 ballot. I think folks are very energized after the vote in Kansas that was a few weeks ago. For those who might not be familiar, Kansas currently has a constitutional amendment for their state constitution that basically said abortion is part of healthcare and cannot be outlawed at the state level because it's a human right, it's more or less. I don't know the wording of the amendment, but the gist was that the Kansas state legislature could not outlaw abortion. And there was a big push to try to overturn that amendment, to try to remove it. And they failed miserably. The campaign to keep that amendment in place was very successful, and I believe the final vote was about 59% yes to keep the amendment. And or I believe actually it was no to not overturn the amendment. And that right there, I know there was a little bit of confusion and some kind of underhanded promotions by the anti-abortion camp in Kansas to confuse people about what a yes vote meant versus a no vote on this issue. But at any rate, people are energized, I think, as a result of the success in that vote. And so we may well have a ballot initiative that hits the ballot in Arkansas in 2024. That's going to take a lot of really, really, really hard and focused and concerted and long work to get enough signatures, first of all, to get something like that on the ballot, and to get enough votes, obviously, for it to be successful. I think that there's a slight difference between voting to keep something that you already have, which is what was happening in Kansas, versus voting to bring on something that you don't already have, which was what we would be doing in Arkansas. So I'm sure there'll be a slightly different tactics, different strategies for a ballot initiative like that in Arkansas. But polling in Arkansas already shows that a majority of Arkansans do not want abortion to be completely outlawed. Majority of Arkansans do not want to see abortion bans with no exceptions for rape and incest, which is what we have right now, no exceptions. So I would say keep your eyes open for some action on a ballot initiative, which would be way probably into 23 or even early 24. I'm guessing. I know we have to wait until we have the numbers from, I believe, this election that we're going to have in November. Because I know that the number of signatures you have to acquire to get a ballot initiative is tied to the number of voters in the previous election. But at any rate, I did want to say, just go ahead and keep your eyes open for that. And certainly ASN will be doing everything we can. We are a C3 right now, so we do have some limitations on the types of lobbying and issue advocacy that we can do, but we'll do everything that is legally within our power to get the word out, to get volunteers going on that initiative. And One thing I will throw out before asking Roz and Karen if they would like to add anything. I know that a lot of folks, we initially, right after Roe was overturned, and still they're still coming in. We have gotten so many wonderful, wonderful offers from people who want to drive folks to their appointments, who want to help people get out of state to access legal abortion care. And I mean, the outpouring has been unbelievable and so heartwarming and bolstering. I do want to let folks know, though, that both AASN and most abortion support organizations, when it comes to travel, our first goal is to provide clients with the resources that they need in order to maintain their privacy and their independence to the degree that they want and are able to. So helping folks with getting flight arrangements through Midwestern Access Coalition, giving folks gas money. You know, a lot of Arkansans are able to, a lot of folks that we've been working with, they're technically able to drive out of state themselves, but the issue is with gas being so high, of course, and with a lot of folks being low income, the issue is just that they don't have the gas money. So we've been able to help there. And, you know, everyone who has needed a little bit of extra help or even a lot of extra help just getting out of the state has been able to do so with that type of logistic support. I don't know how long those types of resources are going to last. So I do let folks know, anybody who is interested in potentially being a volunteer driver, we may not need that type of support for several months or maybe even a few years, but I kind of assume that it's going to happen sooner or later where, you know, resources are going to run out or, you know, access is just going to become more and more difficult. So, you know, we may still need folks who are willing to drive clients, patients to other states. But as of right now, we've been very successful in making sure that folks have the resources to get themselves there. A couple more things before I do check and see if Karen or Roz would like to add anything. I do want to provide some links. One of the things that I have told, you know, folks are really, really eager to get involved, and it is wonderful. And I think that one of the things that anybody can do is become an abortion access expert for your friend group. If you have, you know, children, kids who are adult kids who may be their friend groups, you know, have people who may need abortion services just within your community, within your circles. The very first resource that I recommend people check out is a website called ineedana.com. And I've put that in the chat. And that website is extremely helpful for people searching where they can get a legal abortion in a state where clinics are still operating legally. It will show based on your location, your age, and how far along you are. It will give you the list of clinics that are physically closest to where you are. And then basically starts giving you the list that's like a little bit further away, a little bit further away, a little bit further away. But that is the very first place that we recommend all of our, you know, if somebody calls us and says, I don't even know where to start, we refer them to ineedana.com because that's where they're going to find which clinic is closest and still operational. In circumstances where someone is not able to get out of state, their next best option is an at-home abortion with pills. Now, I will say that generally speaking, in Arkansas, telemed abortion which would be having a teleconference with a doctor. In our case, it would be a doctor in another state who assesses assesses the patient via video conference, and then writes a prescription for abortion pills and then would mail them. That is illegal in Arkansas. Telemed abortion in Arkansas is illegal. Doctors from other states cannot have telemed appointments with Arkansans. However, there are organizations that where Arkansans can access abortion pills online. I do caution that, we and most of the websites that I'm going to share do not provide medical or legal advice, and we always urge everyone to be very certain to read everything that they can on this particular website. I just put this link in the chat. It's plancpills.org. At plancpills.org, people can find where their best options are to purchase abortion pills. Again, there may be some legal risk for Arkansans doing that. We don't know exactly what the risk is, but it is an option for people who cannot leave the state. plancpills.org does not actually provide the abortion pill. What they do is connect people with resources. They are a thoroughly vetted organization. We actually met with a representative from Plan C Pills late last week. And what they do, actually, this is really kind of amazing. Anytime they hear about a new resource that is providing abortion pills, and also they do this periodically for the organizations that they currently link to, they will order pills from an organization and then send those pills off to be tested to make sure that they do contain the misoprostol and the mifepristone, the two drugs that are part of the abortion pill regimen. So plancpills.org, they make sure that the resources they refer people to are legitimate resources that are sending out legitimate abortion pills. So they're a really, really good resource. Again, I stress that we don't know what legal consequences might be in Arkansas, but people order things through the mail every day that, stuff reaches their home with no problems. One thing I will say also, before I get into the next few resources, something really important to know: if you do know somebody who is managing their own abortion with pills and maybe starts to get concerned about, maybe they think they're bleeding too much, or they're worried and maybe they think they need to go to the hospital, I do have a few resources here, but it's really, really important to know that an abortion with pills looks exactly like a miscarriage, and there is technically no need for a person to tell the ER that they were trying to manage their own abortion with pills. They can absolutely say that they're having a miscarriage, and no one will know the difference. So that's just throwing that out there. There are two websites that also have phone lines that people can use to, if they are managing their own abortion at home and they are maybe experiencing some issues, and they're not real sure, is this normal? Am I bleeding too much? Am I not bleeding enough? I may be also having some emotional things that I'd like to talk about. Two resources are the abortionhotline.org and the M&H hotline, MA hotline, that's miscarriage and abortion, but mahotline.org. Both of those organizations provide support. The MA hotline specifically has doctors who are knowledgeable in reproductive care, and they are providing their services pro bono. Abortion Hotline is a peer-to-peer support organization, but with people who are also knowledgeable about self-managed abortion and, what's okay and what's indicative of a problem. So those are two really good resources for the actual, having a self-managed abortion at home. And you have questions about that. Finally, the very last resource I would like to provide is called the Repro Legal Helpline. And I'm putting that link in the chat as well. And this is a helpline for anyone who has self-managed their abortion at home and may be facing legal issues. The Repro Legal Helpline does have pro bono lawyers who are experts in this type of issue, and they can provide advice, and when possible they can get folks connected with local attorneys if need be. But those are all really, I think, really important resources for everybody to hang on to. And these are the resources that, if you get questions about, hey, do you know how I can get an abortion, do you know how I can get pills online, all these websites are perfectly, they exist legally. They are public information. Also, if somebody does need maybe a little bit of extra, financial assistance for their abortion, they can obviously, that's where we come in. That's where Arkansas Abortion Support Network comes in. So I will throw our website in the chat as well. For the most part, folks are going to get financial help through the clinic's funding process, and we are contributing to that funding for Arkansans. But if they do need additional, like they need some gas money or they need just kind of a little bit additional help, navigating the system, they can call us directly, and our phone number is at the website. Now that I've probably taken up all of our time, I'm not sure if we have any more time left, but if we do, I would welcome Roz and Karen to, throw in anything additional that they'd like to add.
I don't know that can you hear me? I don't know whether it's anything additional. It was so thorough. Thank you, Allie. But one of the things I wanted to mention is minors. It's particularly difficult for minors to get out of state for a procedure they wish to have because there are so many legal risks associated with that. We're using another amazing organization called Jane's Due Process. And they're the ones that have the legal expertise in managing people getting back, and the minors in particular. We're not going to risk taking people across state lines and going to jail for that. But there are organizations out there who can help them.
Okay, the only thing, this is Roz. I'm the fund administrator, and I'm the one that has been talking to people since we started this. And I just wanted to mention that people, I believe, our phone activity has gone way down since the Dobbs decision came out. And my belief is, and this is just based on my belief, but my belief is that people in Arkansas think that abortion is illegal everywhere. And so when Allie was talking about being an abortion advocate in your friend groups or your kids' friend groups, I think it's really important that people understand that abortion is not illegal in every state. And there are neighboring states that you can go to if you do need an abortion. So spread the word that that abortion is not illegal everywhere, and that we will help you get to another state if you need an abortion. We don't want anybody who wants an abortion not to be able to get it because they don't think it's legal in every state. So that's just the only thing I wanted to add.
Thanks, y'all. I believe that's it. Do y'all have like a Q&A time afterwards, or I believe we're done with our part of the presentation.
Allie, I think the easy way to do this is if someone has a question, open up the little chat window and type your question in, and then Allie can read it and answer it.
Sure thing.
I'm not seeing any questions pop up.
Liz, The right now it's kind of a split. There is a clinic in Kansas City that is fairly close, and just a tiny bit further away is Granite City in Illinois. And I want to say the Granite City Clinic, obviously it's in the different direction, but it is only like a few miles further away, technically total distance. But yeah, Kansas and Illinois are the two closest clinics.
There's also a clinic in Wichita, Kansas, which a lot of folks from Northwest Arkansas are going to.
Also, Choices in Memphis is moving their location to around Cairo or Carbondale, Illinois. That should open sometime in the middle of September. So there will be one that's a little closer than Granite City, about an hour or so closer, within another month or so.
Karen, the people in Southern Illinois would want me to tell you that it's Cairo.
Thank you for correcting that.
It is named after Cairo, but it is pronounced Cairo there.
Because it's Illinois, right?
Well, it's something.
And I just saw the link that Kenneth shared regarding the Grace Act. That looks like, now is that something that's going to be brought up to the Little Rock City Council, or is that Pulaski County?
Yeah, so we're drafting one. That's a draft for Little Rock, and the idea is to we're building a cover letter to send out to affiliated organizations to sign on to it, and then go to Mayor Frank Scott and the city directors. But if we could get that started and passed, I work with the Democratic Progressive Caucus too, and we've got groups in Jonesboro and Washington County who might also be interested in getting their city directors to passing a bill like that in order to create sort of like smaller local legal precedents to build more, support and backing for the statewide initiative in the next election.
Excellent, thank you.
But I'll be at the Body Autonomy event, the rally in Faulkner County, so I'll probably chat more about it with y'all there.
I was going to say, we'll be there.
Anyone else? Allie, we really appreciate that. And when you guys, and coming just from me, I'm not in charge, but coming just from me, anytime you guys want to come up and bring your petitions to be signed, feel free.
Great, I appreciate it.
Good deal. This is it, folks. We're going to read the closing comments and then we'll be out of here. Hope you found today's meeting thought-provoking, and we hope you'll be able to resume. We hope we'll be able to resume in-person meetings soon. I think we're going to discuss that at the board of directors meeting afterwards. If you are glad people in Central Arkansas are organizing the secular community and working to improve the lives of free thinkers, please consider joining ASF through arfreethinkers.org. Another way you can meet new friends and get involved in your community is by attending other events or joining our group volunteers and event hosts. And I'm going to give you a few of those that are coming up. Tomorrow is Zoom night. Tonight at 4 to 6, actually, at Bowbrook Farms. I will be there, and a friend of mine is playing. It's a young man from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who is a really, really talented singer-songwriter. I met him because he's buddies with a couple of guys from Chicago. This gentleman was not born when Chicago came around. And, considering his age, he probably wasn't born when they were having a lot of success in the 80s either. But he's very talented. His name is Damon. Oh, gosh, Damon Mitchell. How soon we forget. So tomorrow night's Zoom night, Socrates Cafes at Fletcher's Library, at Fletcher Library, Wednesday the 24th. August the 25th, Beyond Belief, Secular Abuse and Recovery. And that's online. Then next Zoom nights is every Monday. Socrates Cafe again on the Thursday the 1st. Beyond Belief is a weekly meeting. Saturday the 3rd, try slot car racing. And then Tuesday the 6th is first Tuesday, which is at American Pie Pizza in North Little Rock. It's in the same shopping center that the Kroger on McCain is in. And we usually have a pretty good crowd for that, so come on out. And then Sunday the 11th, September the 11th, is Second Sunday Communion. Communion being a loose word there. Generally, it's tequila. So for my part, I had 2 hikes a week set up for a long time, and I have suspended those. I have got some heart issues that I'm working through, and I'm hoping that sometime in the middle, toward the end of September, I'll be able to bring those back up, but maybe not. We shall see. And that's pretty much it, folks. I have an official closeout here. If I turn this sideways, I can make it big enough to read. ARFreethinkers.org includes instructions about how to keep up with the ASF events calendar on your phone, so you can make your phone just pop up with all the ASF events. If you'd like to host an event such as a potluck, book club, or families meeting, all you have to do is let us know and we'll get the word out. Becoming a community organizer is just that easy. Also, if you'd like to be considered as a speaker at one of our future meetings, or if you know someone who might be interested, please send us a message at info@arfreethinkers.org. We also have a need for people who could help us by contributing their skills in graphic design, website development, law, writing, or a number of other fields. If you have skills to contribute to our cause, we'd like to hear from you. Thank you for coming, and we will see you next month. Thanks, everyone. Chris?
Yeah, we're also going to be scheduling, or I'm going to try to get scheduled a group, kind of a picnic potluck thing, outdoor pavilion, probably looking at Alsip Park, but watchmeetup.com for that. That's going to happen sometime in September.
Very good. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Bye.